Yep. Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to Singapore Geospatial Festival 2021, an event that brings the international geospatial community, private and public sectors, as well as the community at large together for co-located activities promoting the use of GPS location-based and mapping innovation. So this event is organized by GeoWorks, Singapore Lands Authority's Geospatial Industry Centre. So today we are excited to watch the winning teams of the ASEAN Geospatial Challenge 2021 to share some of their experience along their AGC journey. So if you have any questions during the webinar, please leave them in the Q&A chat box and then we will answer them at the end of the webinar. So for those who are unfamiliar with the challenge last year, GeoWorks held the AGC 2021 Geospatial Youth Edition, which brought the youth in the ASEAN region together to use geospatial technology and information to support nations in achieving their sustainable development goals. So, targeted at the students from institutes of higher learning in the ASEAN region, the challenge was aimed at cultivating relationships and collaborations among ASEAN youth, elevating their geospatial knowledge, and also raising interest in the geospatial field. So the winners were announced on 24 March in 2021 during Geo Connect Asia this year. So now let's enjoy a short video of the winners from AGC 21.
The first ASEAN Geospatial Challenge 2021 Youth Edition, bringing students from ASEAN institutes of higher learning to challenge themselves in using their geospatial skill sets. And most of all, cultivate good relationships among the geo youth in ASEAN. We are proud to have the support of the industry partners. Thank you to our partners. This year, with a total of 27 team entries received, participants put their geospatial skills to the test and competed with their ASEAN peers. Let's hear what some of our judges have to say.
Amazing work. And they've looked at the problem first and then see how geospatial technology can solve it. They're excellent, innovative, forward-thinking, and to be honest, it gives me hope in the future of geospatial.
In the future, developing geospatial information needs not only to apply location-based technology, but also interpret geocontext and geoknowledge for solving real-world problems in a more intelligent way.
And the winning teams in no particular order. For excellence category, SgGeoTech from SUTD Singapore. SgGeoTech solution tackles the challenges of harnessing renewable energy in different communities defined by geographical zones. GeoAid from University of the Philippines, Los Banos, Philippines. Project GeoAid is a geospatial database crowdfunding application development that aims to address the first sustainable development goal to end poverty in all its forms everywhere using an interactive map system. SYT Squared from SMU, SIT, SIM, and SUSS Singapore. Team SYT Squared is a collaboration between students from 4 institutes of higher learning, SMU, SIT, SIM, and SUSS. Their project aims to empower wheelchair users to live independently and confidently and is aligned with SDG 11 to foster the integration of an inclusive society within cities and communities. And now for distinction category. MapBacks from UP Diliman Polytechnic University of the Philippines, San Juan, Philippines. MapBacks HIV and Support Facilities Mapping Project aims to augment the country's HIV and AIDS program by creating an up-to-date, validated map consolidating all government and private facilities that offer HIV services.
We also would want to capacitate other people to really appreciate mapping, GIS, and geospatial data and let them know that it's really very easy to understand and it could really help solve the problems in our society.
Congratulations to all the winners. Well done. And we hope to see you again. Go Geo Youth! Visit geoworks.sg today and connect with us.
Thank you. We hope you enjoyed the video. So the winners are here with us today and they will be sharing more about the topic that they have submitted for AGC 21. So now let's invite our first team, Carl from GeoAid, to also share about their topic on geospatial database crowdfunding application development. So Carl, I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you. I will just share my presentation. So hello, I am Carl aka DR Santos, currently taking Bachelor of Science in Forestry and will be majoring in GIS and Forest Pathology in the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. And I will be representing GeoAid, Geospatial Database Crowdfunding Application Development by Nestle Naklan, Jade Morales, myself, and Jeline Toledo. So for the introduction, poverty has long been acknowledged as one of the major causes of existing problems such as poor access to quality education, healthcare services, and other basic needs, affecting low-income communities the most. So that is why the project focused on low-income communities, and based on the statement alone, one of the reasons for this poverty is poor access to quality education. One fact about the Philippines is that 45,000 children in the Bangsamoro region, or the most disadvantaged region in the Philippines, do not have any access to school. And there are at least 213 small towns where children do not have access to learning facilities. And one of the factors being considered is a long walk from home to get to school. And in terms of healthcare services, according to a study by Mallory et al., a lack of access on medical services causes unnecessary deaths from ordinary diseases such as common colds, coughs, and the common flu. And remote areas seldom receive health services, which are only offered through medical missions organized by private groups. And in some provinces, doctors are only available in town centers, which is why citizens must travel far just for consultations. And these proximity issues can be resolved through GIS with geographical information such as distance to main roads and houses and the distribution of essential facilities. So Project GeoAid aims to first address the first sustainable development goal, which is to end poverty and all its forms everywhere through an interactive map system. Second is to integrate geospatial technology to provide necessary information regarding the poverty status of different target areas. And lastly, to promote a platform that can help address global poverty through crowdfunding. The main geospatial technology that we will be using in this project is proximity analysis, specifically the buffer tool. In terms of software, the team will use QGIS and Google Earth Pro, which are both open source. And in terms of data to be utilized, the project will use the Philippine boundary map, the Philippine road network map, the poverty incidence data, which contains all the poverty levels quantified into a tabular form, and names and locations of primary and secondary public schools, and names and locations of healthcare facilities that are present up to now. Since we don't have the app developed yet, and this is only a proposal that we created 10 days before the competition, I will just show how we will utilize the geospatial technology in our project. So first is we use Google Earth Pro to locate and add place marks of the target schools and the healthcare facilities within the high poverty incidence areas. For this example and the succeeding figures, we will be marking only the school. So according to Amram et al., in his study, he found out that most schools in rich communities or rich residential areas are located far from the main roads. And on the other hand, most of the time, schools with low income are located near the major roads. That is why we plotted the lines, or we constructed the project only along the major roads only. And also, according to Nelson et al., school locations should be located within 2.5 miles or approximately 4 kilometers from the residential areas, because anything beyond 2.5 miles is too much distance for commuting, active commuting and walking. So here we just add the paths. We use 4 kilometers. We measured 4 kilometers to the right of the school and to the left side of the school. And then we imported the place marks from Google Earth Pro to QGIS. And then we just connected the two endpoints to create one line per school, because this line will be used to for the buffer tool. So in this part of the process, the buffer tool under the Vector Geoprocessing Tools tab will be used. According to a study by Shillon et al., walkable distances for 11 to 12-year-olds is 1.5 kilometers, and for 17 to 18-year-olds is 2 kilometers. This will be the values that you can use to input in the buffer tool as input. So depending on the grade level of the children or the students that you want to study. So this should be the resulting map. The map should have multiple buffer zones, one for each establishment, and all areas inside the zones are where residents still find convenience in active commuting and walking to school. On the other hand, areas outside these buffer zones are where residents might experience inconveniences due to the factor of distance. And knowing this information can be used as a guiding tool for the government to know the best and exact locations to establish the needed schools or healthcare facilities, wherein just one construction could support as many residential areas as possible it could cater. The right size of the establishment can also be estimated or be guided by the population density of the unshaded area. The maps that will be produced here will be embedded in the Geo app user interface. So the Geo interface is focused on the interactive poverty incidence map, or PI map. It is only available in tabular form at the moment, and in order to make it accessible and to make it read well on a typical smartphone screen, we divided this process more systematically. So as you can see here, the geo portion of the app will always start with the Philippine map, along with the regional poverty incidence data symbolized by circles. As you can see, there are different sizes and different colors, and which corresponds to the level of poverty within those regions. And tapping one of these circles will zoom you in the area, revealing its municipalities along with their PI estimates as well. So more specific information about them. And tapping one of the municipality circles will reveal the proximity analysis of schools and healthcare facilities to low-income residential areas, which I presented in the methodology previously. So after reaching that screen, you will now be able to access the aid portion of the app. And the aid portion of the app is focused on allocation of donations and allocation of needs of the people. The aid screen of the application also promotes petitions, which highlight the interaction between local citizens, public sectors, and private sectors. And since this application promotes freedom of information, the data will be available for everyone, and it will be available in both English and Filipino languages and dialects. So it will be accessible for every citizen of the Philippines. Okay, to summarize, GeoAid will integrate an interactive map system, emphasizing the local areas with the greatest needs based on the target indicators, which are education, healthcare, social protection, and identifying the subject areas will allow the mobilization of resources and services effectively with the help of crowdfunding. That's all. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, you may free to ask. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Carl. So next up, let's invite Anshika from Sasko Tech to share about their topic on tackling challenges of harnessing renewable energy. So Anshika, I'll pass it over to you.
Hi everyone. One second. Okay. Okay. Hi, I'm Anshika, and my team is Sasko Tech. We are all from SUTD, and we love new tech at SUTD. In this competition, our idea was based on an interactive, real-time, web-based app that qualitatively analyzes the sustainability of each area's renewable energy potential. So, in its essence, we provide communities with an indication of the best renewable energy resource for them. So basically, it generates a sustainability and self sufficiency coefficient for each of the selected renewable energy candidates. So we have solar, wind, thermal, things like that. And then it also provides interactive real time maps for visualization. So, why is this relevant to us and to the community? We tackle some sustainable development goals with this solution, namely these, which you can see here. They would basically be about bringing clean energy to more communities, helping cities become more sustainable, and balancing the energy flow on the planet. So the environmental issues that we have researched is that there's an exponential increase of emissions ever since the Industrial Revolution in the 1950s, and this is negatively impacting our ecosystem. So, how Saskotech, our solution, can help is by reducing the carbon dioxide generation by polluting sources of energy. Because renewable energy resources tend to produce less polluting byproducts. And this can be seen here in this graph where coal, oil, and natural gases produce the highest amount of carbon during electricity generation. Next, some socio-economic issues that we researched on that prevent communities from using or expanding renewable energy in their areas are things like government funding or the lacking current infrastructure. So, for example, Pakistan, even though their terrain is very well suited for solar and wind power, they spend 3 billion USD yearly to import oil and gas. Mostly because they lack infrastructure and support from the government to build on their renewable energy uh, facilities. So, how our solution can help is by bringing energy security and self sufficiency into these developing cities. We hope that through this kind of a tool, policymakers and government agencies could be convinced into moving more funds into expanding the renewable energy facilities in their cities. Furthermore, using renewable energy allows them to be self sufficient, so they are less susceptible and vulnerable to price fluctuations when importing gas and oil. So, economic issues is that the cost of importing is quite high for these underdeveloped countries, especially now since with the amount of resources decreasing, the price is increasing. And then there's low income for natives, and there's a high dependency and vulnerability to foreign imports. So our solution supports the economy by potentially improving these things. and also drives the communities towards greater self-sufficiency. So, of course, there are undesirable impacts of using renewable energy as well, which we acknowledge and also factor into our solution. So, here are some examples. For solar, probably the highest would be toxins when producing the solar panels. And then hydro, quite a major one would be the disruption to the ecosystem, especially the water ecosystem. So, all of these things must be evaluated before implementing renewable energy resource in any area. And we hope that our tool can help people evaluate these better in a scientific and analytical way. So, how do we use geospatial tech in our solution? So, this is a schematic of the proposed workflow, which one of my teammates made for the proposal. And in the phase one, we collect as much data as possible using the GIS database, radar and lidar, to collect data on the specific attributes that could link to the energy consumption. So, for example, if we look at solar power, then we collect data on how much cloud coverage there is daily, or how much solar intensity does the area receive every day. So, these are some examples. So it helps us get insight into the potential net energy gain, which would be the benefits minus the cost based on the installation of the various solar energy renewable energy types. Next, in the second phase, we then use ArcGIS to process the data and create maps of various layer maps based on the various data types, which could help us to gain a holistic view of the benefits. Instead of a simple like one layer view that, oh, solar energy will help our community, this gives us a deeper insight into how implementing the renewable energy resource would impact the community. Then finally, an algorithm is used to generate a coefficient that quantifies the comparison of potential costs and benefits so that each of the different types of renewable energy resources can be compared in a quantifiable way. So this helps to suggest the sustainability potential of each renewable energy resource candidate for the community. So, recap the overall summary is first we estimate the current sustainability and self-sufficiency of the user community, and then also the benefits and costs of each renewable energy resource that we select, let's say solar, wind, and hydro. And then we prepare composite maps using ArcGIS, calculate a potential coefficient that can quantify the benefits versus cost, and then integrate that into our real-time model with interactive visualization so that it's easy for people in different fields to use and understand. And then what is the aim of all this? It is basically to find out and help communities find out which would be the best and most suitable renewable energy resource for their area, by helping them to explore the efficiency of each energy type and also provide insights to various energy stakeholders for decision making when they do their planning. This could also aid in developing a bigger picture and shift the community faster towards sustainability. So, in terms of extensiveness, definitely the solution could be expanded to impact more areas of the community. It could include more energy types of energy sources and also factor in current and also future improvements in the energy tech that would actually be helping to improve the efficiency of each type of renewable energy. And it is also possible to include AI to help make decisions. For example, which would be the best area of forestry to clear for implementing this wind mills or solar panels. Yeah. So, thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Anshika. So our next team will be Gerald and Eric from SYT Square to share more about their topic on empowering wheelchair users towards independent living. So yeah, I'll hand it over to you, Eric and Gerald.
Hi, hold on. Let me share my screen.
Yep, sure.
Yep. So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Eric. Together with my teammate Gerald, we'll be sharing with you a brief summary of our solution from the ASEAN Geospatial Challenge 2021. So, our team worked on Project Sherpa, and the term Sherpa is actually inspired by the Himalayas Sherpa for being the guardian angels for the Himalayas. So, our mission really is to guide and support our everyday lives with a truly boundless navigation. So introducing to you our team, SYT Square. We comprises of students of different disciplines and across different universities in Singapore, such as SMU, SIT, SIM, and SUSS. So our team really believe in the empowerment of wheelchair users to live an independent and confident life by leveraging on assistive technology to foster integration of an inclusive society within our cities and communities. So with over 100,000 wheelchair users in Singapore, we found that it's a pressing need for us to create a solution, which is why our solution is designed with these primary beneficiaries in mind. Firstly, on mobility impaired wheelchair users, families and caregivers, as well as agencies dedicated to enabling people with disabilities. So although there are existing solutions such as the implementation of wheelchair accessibility in MRT, LRTs, bus interchanges, or even bus shelters as seen over here, there is also ramps which are limited to 6 meters with a slope ratio of 1:12, and also a mandating resting area along the long path of travel. But our team feel that while much has been accomplished, the journey towards an inclusive society is actually not an easy one. It takes a continuous and integral effort from all the government agencies, industry stakeholders, voluntary welfare organizations, caregivers, and loved ones to work together to empower people with the disabilities to reach their full potential, which is why our team has also dived in to identify these various challenges that we would like to tackle in our solution. Challenges that can be faced in indoors as well as in outdoors.
With the advancement in digital technology and machine learning, AI-enabled solutions could be applied to help create a seamless and barrier-free path of travel for wheelchair users through Internet of Things, digital twin, cloud, artificial intelligence, open source maps, and the power of crowdsourcing. Project Sherpa will be deployed in 5 steps, which utilizes the fundamentals of digital twins and in conjunction with geospatial technologies in order to create an inclusive society and communities in all cities. With features such as manual and voice input, 2D and 3D mapping, indoor and outdoor navigation, which are AI enabled, and to utilize crowdsourcing to gather data from community to report and provide real-time updates to other wheelchair users for any potential hazards and obstacles that they might be facing. Furthermore, we can cultivate good relationships and collaborations not only for youths, but for everyone in ASEAN. By combining crowdsourcing data with artificial intelligence to create obstacles and present our users with real-time reports and updates, we can raise interest in the geospatial field, elevate geospatial competencies, and encourage knowledge sharing, and hence bring maps to greater heights. We strongly believe that through Project Sherpa, we will be able to build an inclusive society and to empower all wheelchair users to live independently and confidently. Thank you all for your time, and we hope that you've enjoyed our sharing.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Gerald and Eric. Yep, so last but not least, let's invite our distinction winner, Miko from MapBacks, to share more about their project topic on HIV and support facilities mapping. So I'll hand it over to you, Miko.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and good day. I'm Nico. I'm part of MapBex. I am going to be representing my team with Raymond Nuevo and Joseph Pada. So we are a group of LGBT advocates from two different schools, University of the Philippines, Diliman, and the Polytechnic University of the Philippines, San Juan. And we, together with our teammates, we were able to develop what we call the HIV facilities and support map last year. So let me just go ahead. So just for a briefer about the problem we're going to try to solve is that the problem with the HIV and the AIDS pandemic all over the world has been started even before the 1980s, and the boom as well in these numbers, especially in Southeast Asian countries, have been very noticeable. Like for example, in the Philippines, a total of 89,153 cases have already been identified, wherein 33 new HIV patients per day and 1,045 new cases as of just July 2021. And two deaths from AIDS-related illnesses are being observed per day. So these numbers are very scary, especially for us from the LGBT community and as LGBT youth, uh, because these are numbers that we are being faced every day, every moment of our life that we need to remember. This can be attributed to this spike. These spiking numbers can be attributed to lack of sex education, the stigma that is anchored being part of that community, low condom usage, and difficulty in finding and accessing testing for HIV. So just a quick background with the data here in the Philippines. So there are various sources wherein you could get information where you could access this testing sites. So testing is a very crucial and very significant component in really eradicating this disease, because once you are able to identify your status, you'll be able to get the life-saving medicine, the treatment that you could get. So that's one big barrier that several AIDS service organizations have been trying to catch up, because these problems emanate from somewhere. So for this, for example, Philippines, if you just type in HIV testing center, you'll get a multitude or a variation of sources and data from various organizations. So for example, you have here Facebook, you have here from the Department of Health, uh, our main source of health data. You also have your webline, you have your private clinics, etc. So there are a lot of data overall. So in line with that, the main challenge that our team was able to identify is that with this variety of data, we needed some sort of collated and some sort of very uh, organized form of database that other this AIDS service organizations, people living in with HIV, and LGBT individuals can access to and get that information of knowing where to get where to get these tests. So from that, we collated from various sources a total of more than 700 HIV testing facilities, treatment centers, and health facilities, and we shared that publicly to those who needed. So openly, no need to request for letters. Everyone who needs that data can access that data. And then we also followed through this with crowdsourcing activities and advocacy events, like really engaging those communities that need the data to update the data, because I think that is one big challenge that is being faced by any geospatial attempt to solve any problem. So really incorporating that level of partnership with these organizations and these advocates sparked that movement for us to really complete the data for the HIV facilities. So then we went to cleaning and managing the data. And pretty much once we have established our tagging system, we ensured that the data would be open and accessible for everyone, thus uploading all of our resources from to OpenStreetMap, and then lastly rendering them on an open platform in UMap. So all of these resources, you can definitely just search it online, and there are very much extensive resources for you to get it. So during the pandemic, the lockdown, there has been a lot of restrictions in our country. Thus, the data needed to come out immediately. Even just 2 months into the project, we needed to have that data in order for us to save lives. People living with HIV did not have access to this medicine. Thus, we needed to provide a platform wherein these people are able to know their nearest facility in their area. This map, wherein we first rendered it in Google Maps, was able to reach up to more than up to date at 70,000 people who have been using it, and people from the eight service organizations were also the ones who have been updating the data in them, so knowing that okay, this hospital has a lot of COVID patients, please do not go to this hospital and things like that. This hospital is closed, so that people are able to access that information immediately. And also the contact details are there, so that PLHIV and people who are interested in getting tested can contact this information. Okay, so this would be our output map. So everything that is connected here, so the U map that we used is connected to OpenStreetMap, so that anyone who has any information in the updates of the data on OSM can go there immediately and edit it. And then pretty much once it's in OSM, they updated it. It also automatically updates here. Yeah, so from those information that we were able to develop, various organizations, events kind of sprouted towards that, and it just grew and grew in the Philippines. So one NGO used it for analysis in the distribution of HIV medicine, treatment medicine during the pandemic. Others were looking at analysis on the concentration of these testing centers and treatment hubs in the National Capital Region. So from just a small group of people, like from the three of us, it just actually grew and grew. Advocates were volunteering to help in cleaning the data, maintaining the data, etc. And so, as very big aid service organizations and health organizations were taking part as well in updating this information. So, just recently, we also added other services to the map, like legal services for PLHIV, psychosocial services, and housing services, which cater to the community that how we identified that is very vulnerable. So I guess to end this note, I think one important thing that our mapping project was able to confer is that mapping, GIS, and map data should not only be left to those who have access to that technology and knowledge, and we would really want to make sure that the vulnerable communities, the ordinary people, have the basic knowledge and understanding that mapping and everything that we've been doing is very cost efficient. It's very cheap. Like we did not really spend anything on this. It's very accessible. Like OpenStreetMap has ensured that the data is very open to everyone, and the data is also very transparent. So once you make sure that these people have that understanding and that advocacy in them as well, pretty much the project just blew up and spread across our country. So through that, we are also now advocating other projects like pet animal control, and also providing identifying legal services for those who are needing it. So I guess I would just end it there, and thank you very much to uh, GeoWorks and SgGeoFest. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Miko, for your presentation. So now we have come to the Q&A segment. Feel free to leave them at the Q&A chat box if you have any other questions. So I think we have a question from Nathaniel. Let me show on stage, and I think this question is for Carl. So apart from active mobility, are there affordable or even full free fare public transport, informal transport to cater to poorer communities?
So thank you for the question. Based on what I've researched, I just researched it now while they are also reporting. There are no reports on any free transportation services in our low-income communities, and I found out that the government here are more focused on relocating the people from the low-income communities outside those communities outside of those location into higher income communities instead of providing free services just like transportation. And although they have public let's say cheap or low cost transportation, but in terms of money, it is very subjective. For us here in higher income communities, it is very cheap for us, but for them, I think it will be very costly, and it is not sustainable for them um, to, to commute in these transportation services every single day because our education system is most of the time daily, except for Saturday and Sundays. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Carl. So, yeah, I think there is no other questions from the participants so far. So, for all participants, if you have any inquiries, feel free to email us at joeworks@sla.gov.sg. So, before we end the webinar, we would like to actually announce the launch of ASEAN Geospatial 2022 this year, and would like to warmly extend the participation of AGC 22 to full-time students in all local IHLs. So the deadline of the national level challenge is 1st of December. And for interested local participants, do scan the QR code to register your interest and also join us for the briefing session on 4th and 5th of October to understand more about the challenge. Yes, so we have now come to the end of the webinar, and thank you all for tuning in. So please check out our events by scanning the QR code and also joining the conversation using the hashtag SgGeoFest. So thank you, and we hope to see you again.